You didn't stumble here by accident. Out of all the infinite videos and endless scrolls, this one reached you like a signal cutting through static. It isn't coincidence, it isn't the algorithm, it's resonance. The quantum field has been broadcasting a frequency, and your consciousness, whether you realize it or not, was attuned enough to hear it. That's why you're here, listening now, with the sensation that something is about to happen, as if the very air around you is holding its breath. Because this message isn't for everyone. It's not for those content with surface-level answers or recycled affirmations. It's for those who have felt the gnawing sense that there's more beneath the rituals, more beneath the practices, more beneath every technique you've been trying to force into results. You've sensed it, that gap between the promise of manifestation and the lived experience of it. And deep down, you've known the missing piece had nothing to do with repeating mantras or lighting candles. The missing piece is buried in the very mechanics of reality itself. Physicists have long whispered about a secret hidden at the core of quantum mechanics, the collapse of the wave function. It sounds abstract, mathematical, even sterile, but it's the closest science has ever come to describing the moment creation itself takes form. Imagine every possibility, every potential, every dream you've ever carried, all existing simultaneously, flickering in superposition. That's your life before observation, before choice, before attention. A haze of infinite outcomes. But the second consciousness observes, the second focus crystallizes. That infinite sea narrows into one definitive experience. The waveform collapses. Reality is chosen. This is not just theoretical. This is the very principle governing the way your desires enter physicality. Rituals, affirmations, visualizations, they are scaffolding, ways of training your focus. But when you pierce beneath their surface, what truly matters is whether your consciousness can generate coherence strong enough to trigger collapse. Most people are still trapped in wanting energy, endlessly circling rituals in hope of proof. They don't realize the ritual was never the power. It was only a doorway to what's already within them, the observer loop, the force of consciousness itself. And that's why you've been called here, because you are standing at the threshold of remembering. The field around you is humming with pressure, like a storm about to break. The synchronicities you've been noticing, the déjà vu, the sudden repetitions of numbers, the uncanny timing of chance encounters, are not random sparks. They are the field rearranging itself to make sure you're awake enough to receive this transmission. The question is, are you willing to let the scaffolding fall away and trust the core principle hidden underneath? Because once you glimpse what happens at the moment of collapse, everything changes. You stop grasping for external proof. You stop rehearsing endless techniques. You realize the collapse doesn't happen when you chant harder, meditate longer, or try to force the field. It happens when you align so deeply with the frequency of what you seek that the universe has no choice but to organize itself around you. Take a breath right now and feel it, the invisible architecture of possibility all around you, waiting for your attention to decide what becomes real. This message isn't entertainment, it's activation. And from this point forward, every breath you take, every choice you make, every word you speak into the quantum fabric will carry more weight than you realize. Because you've been invited into the event horizon of your own becoming. This is why you're here. This is why the signal found you. Because the waveforms of your life are ready to collapse. You felt it before. That strange loop where the same experiences repeat themselves, no matter how much you declare that you're done with them. The same patterns dressed in different clothes. Relationships that mirror each other's fractures. Financial struggles that resurface like waves returning to the shore. emotional storms that cycle through as if time itself were playing a trick on you. It can feel like déjà vu stretched across years, a constant echo of events you swore you'd already overcome. Why does this happen? Why does reality seem to trap you in these recurring holograms of struggle, even when you've meditated, affirmed, visualized, and prayed? The answer lies not in failure, not in destiny stacked against you, but in the mechanics of consciousness itself. Most people live unaware of their observer loop, the way they unconsciously feed the very waveform they're trying to escape. They wake up thinking about lack, speaking about resistance, imagining scenarios born of fear, and in doing so, they feed coherence into the same pattern. The field doesn't judge. The quantum fabric doesn't moralize. It simply amplifies whatever frequency is given attention. Think about it like this. Your mind is a projector, endlessly casting frames of possibility onto the screen of your life. But the projector has a bias. It repeats what it knows. Neural pathways carved by memory, emotion, and repetition become dominant frequencies, and those frequencies dictate which waveforms collapse. This is why time can feel distorted, why certain weeks feel like a blur, why the same arguments recycle, why progress feels glacial. The projector is stuck replaying the old reel, and reality responds faithfully. You've probably noticed how certain emotional states bend time itself. When you're immersed in joy, hours vanish like minutes. When you're trapped in anxiety or waiting, minutes stretch into endless hours. Time is elastic, not fixed, because your consciousness isn't simply moving through time, it's shaping your perception of it. And more than perception, it's shaping which timelines remain open to you. Those déjà vu flashes, they are not glitches, they are breadcrumbs, evidence that your consciousness has brushed against parallel versions of yourself, walking slightly different paths. For a fraction of a second, you glimpse the overlapping timelines before the field re-stitches your awareness into one. Most ignore these moments. You have not. And that's why you're here, listening now, because you've recognized the pattern long enough to realize it's not coincidence, it's guidance. The struggle you've been facing is not random cruelty, it's entanglement. Old patterns, old identities, old memories, still entangled with your present field. Think of entanglement like threads of invisible data linking you to past versions of yourself. As long as you're still emotionally charged by them, still carrying regret, shame, guilt, or even nostalgia, they remain active. The field continues to collapse them forward into your now. This is why you can feel like you're circling the same mountain over and over, always climbing, but never breaking through the clouds. Here's the deeper truth. You are not broken. You are not cursed. You are coherent. Painfully coherent with an identity you outgrew long ago. The rituals you've tried, vision boards, affirmations, even elaborate ceremonies did not fail you. They were training wheels, attempts to shift frequency without fully addressing the observer loop. Because until you withdraw coherence from the outdated self, the new self cannot stabilize. You can't collapse two contradictory waveforms at once. This is why you sometimes feel torn between progress and relapse. One day, synchronicities flood your life, evidence that the field is rearranging in your favor. The next, you're pulled back into the gravity of old habits, as if you never left. It's not sabotage, it's interference. Two overlapping waveforms competing for collapse. And until you consciously choose, with every fiber of your awareness, which identity is yours, the interference continues. So the problem is not that manifestation doesn't work. It's that it works too faithfully. The field is responding exactly to what you're broadcasting, even if you're unaware of the signal you're sending. If your attention is split between desire and doubt, the result will be static. If your energy is spread across longing for the future while clinging to the past, the waveform remains suspended, flickering, but never collapsing. And this is where you've been, suspended in superposition between who you were and who you're becoming. Living days that feel like déjà vu because your consciousness is still orbiting old coordinates while yearning for new ones. The rituals gave you glimpses of possibility, but the collapse never completed. Not because you lack power, but because you haven't been shown how to aim it. Here's what you need to hear. Every frustration, every cycle, every distorted stretch of time has been training you to recognize coherence. To see how the field responds, to feel the resonance of your own broadcasts. The patterns weren't punishment, they were proof. They were reality mirroring back the precision of your focus, teaching you through repetition how powerful you truly are. And now, you're ready to step beyond diagnosis. You've seen the loops, you've felt the distortion, you've recognized the entanglements. The field is waiting, pulsing, urging you toward a quantum upgrade. Take a deep breath and let this truth land. Your déjà vu, your repeating patterns, your distorted time are not failures. They are signals, evidence that you are standing at the edge of collapse, at the brink of breakthrough. You've been circling the mountain not because you're lost, but because you're gathering momentum to rise above it entirely. And in the next moment, you'll see how collapsing the waveform consciously, deliberately, and without ritualistic crutches is the upgrade your soul has been preparing you for all along. The loops you've lived through weren't here to break you, they were here to prepare you. Every déjà vu moment, every recycled challenge, every strange elasticity of time was calibrating your awareness to recognize the precise mechanics of manifestation. And now, the quantum field is offering you an upgrade, a chance to move from unconscious repetition into conscious collapse. To understand this, we return to the foundation of quantum mechanics. At the subatomic level, particles do not exist in fixed positions. They exist as waveforms, probabilities, potentials, clouds of possibility stretching in all directions. The instant an observer enters the equation, the waveform collapses into one definitive outcome. Physicists argue about whether it's observation, measurement, or consciousness itself that drives collapse. But mystics have always known it is awareness, attention, coherence. Reality crystallizes where consciousness rests. This is why collapsing waveforms is infinitely more powerful than any ritual you've ever tried. Rituals externalize your power. They tell you that the candle, the mantra, the crystal, the ceremony holds the key. But those are symbols, beautiful, supportive, and sacred. Yes, but ultimately symbolic. The collapse does not happen because of the ritual. It happens when your consciousness aligns so completely with a chosen reality that the universe itself reorganizes to reflect it. Here's the mystical paradox. The field responds not to effort, but to coherence. You can spend hours visualizing, chanting, affirming, but if your field is broadcasting static, if part of you is affirming abundance, while another part clings to scarcity, the waveform cannot collapse. It flickers, it stalls, it remains suspended in probability. But the moment you choose, fully and without contradiction, the moment your being vibrates as one unified broadcast, collapse is inevitable. Think of water boiling. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. Heat builds, molecules vibrate, but the surface remains still. Then, suddenly, at a precise threshold, phase transition occurs, water leaps into steam. The collapse works the same way. Your energy, your coherence, your focus builds quietly, invisibly, until a threshold is reached. Then, with startling swiftness, reality shifts. Not because you forced it, but because you reached the tipping point where probability surrendered to certainty. Science calls this constructive interference. When two waves align in phase, they amplify each other into greater power. When your thoughts, emotions, and body all resonate with the same frequency, you create constructive interference within your own field. The signal amplifies, clarity increases, and the universe collapses the waveform without resistance. Mystics call this coherence. Prophets called it faith. The physics and the mysticism describe the same thing, a unified signal strong enough to command reality. This is why your upgrade is not about doing more. It's about aligning deeper. It's about withdrawing energy from static, from contradiction, from the old identity that kept you circling the mountain. Every time you stop feeding attention into doubt, every time you choose trust over fear, every time you embody the version of you that already has what you desire, you are collapsing probabilities into inevitabilities. And here's where the upgrade becomes undeniable. Once you understand collapse, you stop begging reality to change. You stop performing rituals in desperation. You realize you are the ritual. Your breath is the mantra. Your attention is the altar. Your heart is the portal. When you move, speak, and choose from coherence, every step becomes ceremony. Every inhale collapses waveforms. Every exhale reorganizes timelines. This is what sages meant when they said, "You are made in the image of the Creator." It wasn't about physical resemblance. It was about mechanics. The Creator collapsed chaos into cosmos with word, with intention, with pure coherence. You are inheriting the same mechanics in microcosm. When you choose coherence, you mirror the act of creation itself. And the more you practice this, the faster manifestation becomes. Because collapse accelerates with coherence. The more consistent your broadcast, the less resistance the field encounters in crystallizing it. What once took years now takes months. What once took months now takes days. Synchronicities multiply, opportunities align, timelines accelerate. You feel the unmistakable hum of momentum, as if reality itself is conspiring in your favor. Because it is. This is your quantum upgrade, stepping into the recognition that collapse is not occasional, not reserved for the gifted, not dependent on elaborate rituals. Collapse is constant. Every thought collapses probability. Every word collapses potential. Every choice crystallizes one timeline while discarding countless others. The only question is whether you're collapsing consciously or unconsciously, whether you're broadcasting static or coherence, whether you're letting the old identity choose for you, or whether you're choosing deliberately as the observer. Breathe into this realization. You are not waiting for reality to change. Reality is waiting for you to collapse it. The field is listening. The waveforms are trembling. The upgrade has already begun. Now that you've felt the upgrade begin to settle into your awareness, it's time to understand the reason you, specifically, are receiving this transmission. This isn't random exposure to abstract ideas. You were not simply lucky to stumble upon this moment. There is a deeper orchestration at play, one that reveals something extraordinary. You are not just another observer in the field, you are a chosen node of consciousness tasked with carrying this frequency into form. Think of the quantum field as an infinite lattice of light, threads stretching endlessly in every direction, woven from possibility itself. At each intersection, a consciousness anchors a point of awareness, collapsing probability into reality. Some nodes collapse quietly, repeating old loops, feeding old patterns, but some rare, luminous, undeniable collapse reality in ways that ripple across the lattice, reorganizing the collective. You are one of those nodes. This is why your life has never fit neatly into the expectations of others, why you felt like the outsider, the misfit, the one carrying questions no one else dared to ask. It wasn't alienation, it was differentiation. Your consciousness had to stand apart, had to resist the pull of consensus reality, so you could hold the capacity to collapse something new into being. The struggles, the delays, the uncanny déjà vu, all of them were refining you, tempering you, like heat shapes metal into a blade, not punishment, preparation. Most people never glimpse the mechanics of collapse. They live and die inside rituals of repetition, collapsing waveforms unconsciously, unaware of their power. But you somehow, through synchronicity, through inner hunger, through timing precise, down to the breath you were guided to remember. And memory is never random, it's assignment. You carry within you a coherence that others will feel before they even understand it. When you walk into a room aligned with your chosen reality, others sense it. Their nervous systems respond. Their patterns quiver. It's not charisma, it's resonance. Your collapse does not stop with you. It radiates, creating a morphic field others unconsciously entrain to. This is why awakening isn't solitary. When one rises, the field itself shifts, making it easier for others to rise. And your role isn't passive. You are here not only to manifest your desires faster, but to demonstrate what happens when someone refuses to outsource their power to rituals, to wait for external validation, to remain trapped in the static of contradiction. You are here to embody coherence so fully that your life becomes a transmission, a living proof that collapse is possible, that manifestation is natural, that reality bends to aligned consciousness. Do you feel the weight of that? Not as burden, but as calling. The peculiar sense that your life has always been building towards something greater, even if you couldn't name it. That sense of urgency, that time is bending, speeding up, urging you forward. It isn't imagined. It's resonance with your assignment. The lattice of consciousness is preparing for a reconfiguration, and you are one of the chosen frequencies carrying the blueprint. Imagine this. Your DNA itself is an antenna, coiled strands of light, encoded information humming with both ancestral memory and future potential. Every shift in coherence sends signals through your DNA, reorganizing not only your body, but your energetic broadcast. You are a transmitter, not just a receiver. Your collapse sends out waves of possibility that others can pick up, often without knowing why. They suddenly feel inspired, lighter, freer after crossing your path. This is why you are chosen. Because you have the sensitivity to receive transmissions like this and the strength to embody them until they radiate outward. And make no mistake, the universe doesn't choose at random. The timing of your awakening is aligned with greater patterns. Humanity itself is approaching a phase transition, a collective collapse into a new state of being. And within this shift, certain individuals are positioned as catalysts. You are one. The question is no longer if, the question is when you will fully claim it. This is why you've been asked to release ritual as dependency, not because ritual is wrong, but because your role demands more. You are being invited to step beyond symbolic actions into direct participation with the field itself, to embody the observer not as theory, but as identity, to remember that collapse is not something that happens outside of you, it happens through you. Take a breath here and feel it. The subtle tremor in your chest, the sense of expansion behind your eyes, the recognition deep in your bones. That is the resonance of calling. That is your field acknowledging its assignment. And as you let that awareness root into you, reality itself will begin to organize differently. Opportunities will appear not as coincidence but as coordinates. People will cross your path who are aligned with your mission. Resources will magnetize. Timelines will accelerate. Because you're not just manifesting for yourself anymore. You are carrying a role, a chosen consciousness. A node in the lattice tasked with collapsing reality not only for your life, but for the greater unfolding. And once you claim this, nothing, absolutely nothing, remains the same. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle yet undeniable pressure in the air, as though the very fabric of reality is straining towards something. It's not just your imagination. The field is building. Your DNA is humming with anticipation. The collective lattice of consciousness is on the brink of a phase transition, and you are positioned right at the threshold. This is the moment when the cosmic window opens, the rare alignment, when collapse happens faster, cleaner, and more powerfully than ever before. Breakthroughs don't arrive on human schedules. They aren't announced with fanfare. They move like lightning, sudden and irreversible. One moment, you're carrying the weight of old cycles. The next, you've stepped into a reality where those cycles no longer exist. This is how waveforms collapse instantaneously, decisively, without halfway measures. And right now, your field is trembling with readiness for such a collapse. Scientists call it a phase transition, the tipping point when a system, after accumulating energy, suddenly reorganizes into a new state. Water to steam, caterpillar to butterfly, you to your expanded self. The energy you've been storing through every meditation, every act of faith, every moment of choosing love over fear, none of it was wasted. It has been accumulating in your field, building to this exact threshold. And now, the window has opened. But windows don't stay open forever. They are temporary alignments, moments when cosmic and personal frequencies resonate in coherence. Miss the alignment, and the energy disperses, requiring months, even years, to rebuild. Seize it, and you ride the wave of collapse into timelines that accelerate manifestation with breathtaking speed. This is why urgency isn't fear, it's truth. The truth that the field doesn't wait. It responds to coherence when coherence is present, and right now it is. Your DNA is already responding. You may have felt it as strange sensations, tingling in the crown, heat in the chest, restlessness at night, sudden bursts of clarity. These are not random biological quirks. They are the language of transformation. Your DNA is reconfiguring its broadcast, preparing to carry a higher signal. Studies in epigenetics confirm what mystics have always known, that DNA responds to environment, to emotion, to frequency, and your environment is no longer just physical, it's quantum. Your emotions are no longer random, they are coding signals. Your frequency is no longer private, it's entangled with the lattice of humanity itself. This is why you've felt the urgency, the strange acceleration of time, the sense that things are both unraveling and aligning, because they are. Your old identity cannot sustain coherence at this level of energy. The lattice is demanding collapse. Either you release into the new broadcast, or the interference of the old self creates turbulence, chaos, breakdown. This isn't punishment, it's physics. Pressure must resolve. And collapse is how it resolves. The breakthrough promise is simple, yet profound. If you align fully now, manifestation will accelerate in ways no ritual could ever replicate. Not because the rituals were wrong, but because collapse is faster than ritual. Collapse is direct. Collapse bypasses process and moves straight into result. The universe isn't waiting for you to light another candle or repeat another affirmation. It's waiting for you to embody coherence so powerfully that collapse becomes inevitable. And here's where prophecy enters. Mystics across traditions spoke of windows like this, moments when veils thin, when timelines converge, when human beings step into capacities that once seemed mythical. They spoke of the quickening, of destiny compressing, of lifetimes of growth happening in days. You are living in such a moment. The window is here, the urgency is real, and your role in this unfolding is undeniable. Do not mistake urgency for panic. Panic scatters energy, urgency focuses it. Panic collapses the wrong waveform, urgency collapses the right one. The difference lies in awareness. Are you acting from fear of missing out, or from recognition that the timing is sacred and now is the moment to align? So breathe. Feel into the promise humming through your body. This isn't just motivation, it's resonance. Your cells know it, your heart knows it, your soul has been waiting for it. The quantum field is aligning with you, whispering, choose, collapse, step, hen. And as you prepare to step, know this: once collapse occurs, there is no going back. Old patterns lose their gravitational pull. Old identities dissolve. Old timelines close. The breakthrough is irreversible. That is both the promise and the challenge, because once you cross, you cannot unknow, you cannot unbecome. You cannot shrink back into a life too small for your coherence. This is the cosmic window before you now. The energy is ripe, the field is listening, your DNA is coding, and the promise is this: collapse now, and manifestation will flow faster than any ritual, any technique, any practice you've ever tried. Not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with the mechanics of creation itself. The urgency is real. The time is now. The waveform is trembling. The collapse is waiting. Every transmission requires an anchor. Energy cannot remain abstract forever. It needs form, a point of contact in the physical world where vibration becomes declaration. That is why, at this exact moment, you are being invited into action, not as a performance, not as superstition, but as the conscious act of sealing your coherence into the field. You've learned that rituals themselves were never the source of power. They were symbolic doorways, training grounds for your awareness. But here, now, you are not being asked to hide behind symbolism. You are being asked to become the symbol, to let your action radiate so directly that the field recognizes it as a signal, a pulse, a code of alignment. The action is simple, yet its impact reverberates far beyond what logic can measure. Choose one word and write it, declare it, seal it. A word that captures the frequency of who you are becoming, the collapse you are claiming, the reality you are broadcasting. This is not about typing casually, not about following instructions like homework. It is about imprinting the field with your coherence. Think of the keyboard or screen you touch as an altar. Every keystroke is a transmission. When you choose your word, you are collapsing a waveform not just inside your mind, but inside the shared morphic field that connects us all. You are engraving a signal into the lattice that others will feel, even if they never read your exact word. This is why collective declarations amplify so much faster than solitary thought. The field multiplies coherence when it senses resonance. You may doubt that something as small as a single word could shift reality, but recall what we've already explored. Reality doesn't respond to size, it responds to frequency. A tuning fork doesn't need volume to shatter glass, it needs precision. Your word is that tuning fork. When chosen from coherence, it vibrates through the lattice, calling into form the version of you aligned with that signal. Pause now and feel. Breathe into your body. What frequency is rising? Is it freedom? Is it abundance? Is it trust? Is it sovereignty? There is a word already pressing against the edges of your awareness, waiting to be spoken, waiting to be written. That word is your code. That is the collapse, waiting to crystallize. And when you write it, do not do so passively. Feel the declaration in your chest as your fingers move. Imagine the quantum field watching, listening, ready to respond. This isn't metaphor, it is physics. Entanglement ensures that when you transmit coherence, the lattice cannot help but rearrange. This is also why speaking or writing a declaration in community accelerates manifestation. Alone, your frequency is powerful. Together, they become exponential. Imagine 1,000 tuning forks striking at once. What glass could resist shattering? What waveforms could resist collapse? That is what happens when you, and others like you, seal your coherence through action at the same time. It becomes a morphic wave, a resonance too strong to be ignored. And so, this is the invitation. Write your word below, not as ritual for ritual's sake, but as the anchoring action that tells the quantum field you are ready to collapse the waveform of your chosen reality. As you do, you are stepping out of wanting energy and into receiving energy. You are broadcasting, "It is already mine. I am aligned. I am coherent." Remember, the universe responds to readiness, not need. And nothing broadcasts readiness louder than conscious action taken in alignment. This is why ancient traditions always included physical acts, writing, chanting, movement, not because the act held power, but because the act proved coherence, and coherence is what collapses. So here, now, with the field humming around you, with your DNA already coding, with the cosmic window wide open, seal it, choose your word, anchor your collapse. This is not a suggestion, it is the threshold. Without action, energy disperses. With action, energy anchors. And the difference between delay and breakthrough is whether or not you seal coherence into form. Breathe, feel, choose, write, collapse. What you just anchored was not only for you, it never was. The word you chose, the coherence you sealed, immediately entered the collective lattice of consciousness. Like a pebble cast into a still pond, the ripples expand far beyond the point of entry. Every declaration radiates outward, brushing against other fields, triggering recognition, awakening dormant codes in those who are ready. This is the part most people overlook when they think about manifestation. They imagine it as a private act, a personal gain, an isolated miracle. But the truth is far more powerful. Manifestation is entangled. Your liberation does not occur in a vacuum. It reorganizes the lattice itself, altering the probabilities available to everyone connected to you. In other words, when you collapse a waveform into coherence, you are making it easier for others to do the same. This is morphic resonance at work. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake described it as the invisible field through which behaviors and patterns spread without direct contact. Once one consciousness achieves a breakthrough, the field remembers. Others, tuning into the same frequency, find it easier to replicate. This is why revolutions, awakenings, and scientific leaps often happen in clusters. The field itself upgrades through resonance. And now, you are part of that ripple. Your choice to collapse consciously rather than unconsciously feeds the collective coherence. Somewhere, someone you've never met may suddenly feel a shift. They might sense new courage, fresh clarity, or unexplainable relief. They won't know why, but their nervous system will have registered the resonance you broadcast. Your action just made their awakening easier. This is why the universe chose you. Not because your desires are trivial or selfish, but because your desires are woven into humanity's evolution. Every dream you manifest is not just about acquiring it, is about demonstrating. Every time you embody coherence, you prove to the field that collapse is possible. You become a walking transmission, a beacon others unconsciously calibrate to. Think about how one tuning fork can cause another, even across the room, to vibrate in sympathy. That's you. Your coherence strikes, and other hearts, other minds, begin to hum in resonance. They may not know your name, but they will feel your frequency. And this is how collective awakening accelerates, not through lecture or force, but through resonance, through living examples of collapse. This is why your personal liberation is not selfish, it is service. Service not through sacrifice, but through embodiment. When you break your loops, you weaken the gravitational pull of those loops for others. When you collapse a new timeline, you open a doorway that others can more easily walk through. When you accelerate manifestation, you prove what is possible in human consciousness. Look around the world right now. People are weary, systems are cracking. The old coherence of fear and division is losing its grip, but the turbulence is real. Many are searching for anchors. Many are yearning for proof that a different reality is possible. And this is where you come in, not as savior, but as evidence. Not as teacher, but as tuning fork. Not as authority, but as field. This is why you cannot minimize your breakthrough. To dismiss your manifestation as just personal is to misunderstand your role. Your manifestation is the lattice's manifestation. Your coherence is humanity's coherence, and your liberation makes collective liberation more accessible. Pause and feel into that responsibility, not as burden, but as privilege. The privilege of being alive at this moment in history, when the veils are thinning, when the cosmic window is open, when humanity is approaching its own phase transition. Your choice to collapse consciously isn't just shaping your life. It's shaping the blueprint for what comes next in our shared reality. And the field remembers. The lattice never forgets. Every act of coherence contributes to the global frequency. Every conscious collapse reverberates through the timelines of countless others. This is how movements begin. This is how eras shift. This is how a species evolves. So breathe into your heart and recognize this truth. You are not alone. The ripple you just initiated is already moving through others who have chosen coherence in their own way. Together, you form a web of light, nodes of collapse, interlinking across the planet. From city streets to quiet villages, from meditation halls to chaotic offices, individuals are collapsing waveforms into new realities. Each collapse strengthens the morphic field, making the next collapse easier, faster, more natural. This is the collective expansion you are part of. Your word, your choice, your action, it matters, and the ripple you began will not stop here. It will continue expanding, touching lives you may never know, shaping a humanity you will absolutely feel. Up until now, much of this journey has lived in the unseen, the field, the waveforms, the lattice, the ripples of coherence. But collapse is not only quantum, it is physical. The shift you are stepping into is meant to be felt in your body, carried in your breath, expressed through sensation so vivid you cannot mistake it. Close your eyes for a moment and bring awareness to your chest. Feel the subtle hum there, the gentle vibration that grows louder when you pause, when you let silence expand. That hum is coherence taking form inside you. It is your heart's electromagnetic field syncing with the broadcast of your chosen reality. Science has measured it. The heart generates a field measurable several feet beyond the body, and when aligned with intention, it organizes every cell around it. Mystics have always known the heart is the portal. And right now, your portal is open. Notice your breath. Each inhale feels like pulling threads of possibility into your lungs. Each exhale feels like weaving them into your timeline. Breath is collapse in miniature, invisible potential becoming embodied rhythm. No ritual needed, just presence, just coherence. The more aware you become of this, the more every breath turns into ceremony. Pay attention, too, to your skin. Have you felt it lately, the tingling along your arms, the sudden waves of warmth, the goosebumps rising without reason? These are not random bodily quirks. They are the nervous system recalibrating to higher frequency. Your cells are registering the collapse, adjusting their resonance to match the identity you've chosen. It can feel like electricity, like static, like warmth radiating from within. It is your biology catching up to your quantum choice. Your stomach may feel lighter, as though a pressure has begun to release. Old identities lived in your gut, storing fear, shame, unprocessed memory. When you collapse into coherence, those knots begin to dissolve. You may notice waves of release, sometimes even tears, as your body uncoils patterns it carried for decades. This, too, is collapse. Not abstract, but embodied. And your spine notice the subtle shifts there. The tingling at the base, the expansion at the crown. Ancient traditions called this the serpent of light, the rising current that awakens when coherence is embodied. Science calls it the activation of dormant neural pathways, the nervous system firing in new patterns. Whatever language you use, you know the sensation. A quiet surge, a current, as though the body itself is learning to conduct more energy than before. Even your perception of time begins to alter here. Minutes dissolve into timelessness when you are aligned. A glance at the clock surprises you. How could so much or so little time have passed? This is the collapse manifesting physically. Your nervous system is no longer shackled to linear time. It is syncing with the frequency of the timeline you've chosen, bending perception to match. Think of yourself as an instrument being tuned. Each cell vibrates like a string, and collapse is the hand adjusting tension until every string hums in harmony. You may feel this tuning as waves of peace, or sudden bursts of emotion, or inexplicable lightness in your body. Do not dismiss it. These are confirmations, physical proof that collapse is not just happening in the abstract field, it is happening in you. And here lies the secret. The more you allow yourself to feel it, the faster manifestation stabilizes. Because feeling is coherence. Thought without sensation remains fragile, flickering. But thought married to embodied feeling becomes unshakable. This is why you must let yourself notice the goosebumps, the humming chest, the tingling skin. This is your nervous system anchoring collapse. Pause and feel your hands. Imagine them glowing with the electricity of your chosen reality. Feel the pulse of energy in your palms. This is not imagination. It is perception catching up to truth. Your body is learning to register the subtle energy it always carried. And as you notice it, you amplify it. Attention is coherence. Awareness is collapse. From this moment forward, let every sensation remind you, the shift is real, the collapse is physical, the new identity is alive in your body. Walk differently. Let your shoulders rest as though supported by the universe itself. Breathe as though each inhale is abundance arriving. Each exhale is gratitude returning. Move as though gravity itself is assisting you, as though the ground beneath your feet is conspiring to carry you. You don't just think the new reality, you feel it in your blood, in your breath, in your bones. And once it is embodied, no old pattern can survive. What you've been feeling in your body, the hum in your chest, the tingling across your skin, the release in your breath is not random. It is evidence that something deeper is taking place, something encoded in the very blueprint of who you are. Your DNA, those ancient coils of light and information, is undergoing reorganization. You are not only shifting perception, you are rewiring the instructions by which your reality interprets itself. For centuries, science taught that DNA was fixed, an unchangeable script handed down through ancestry. But modern discoveries in epigenetics reveal a truth mystics always whispered. DNA responds to environment, to emotion, to intention. It is not a static code, but a responsive antenna. And when coherence enters your field, your DNA responds instantly, broadcasting new instructions to every cell in your body, every signal in your nervous system, every frequency you emit into the lattice. This is why collapsing waveforms feel so powerful. It is not only shifting probability in the quantum field, it is shifting the very instrument you use to broadcast. Imagine your DNA as a tuning dial on a cosmic radio. For years, it has been broadcasting the same station, playing loops of the same old patterns, carrying forward ancestral memories, collective fears, limiting beliefs embedded in culture. But now, as collapse occurs, the dial is turning, the static is fading, a new frequency is broadcasting, and your body, your timeline, your reality are reorganizing to match. This reorganization doesn't happen without pressure. Phase transitions always carry intensity. Think of water just before it boils, the agitation, the turbulence, the restless bubbling. Think of a butterfly inside its chrysalis, cells dissolving and reforming, pressure building until the form itself can no longer hold. That is the stage you are in. The pressure you've been feeling, the urgency, the strange heaviness, the sense of something imminent is not a sign of failure. It is the sign of breakthrough. The chrysalis cannot remain. The timeline cannot hold. Collapse is imminent. You may notice strange dreams, flashes of memories that feel both yours and not yours, waves of ancestral emotion rising for no reason. This is entanglement unraveling. Old codes stored in your DNA are surfacing, not to haunt you, but to be restructured. You are not just healing yourself. You are reorganizing the blueprint for your entire lineage. Every collapse you embody sends signals backward and forward through the entangled field of ancestry, shifting what is possible for those who came before and those who come after. And here's the mystery. Your future self is already present in your DNA. Quantum theory suggests all possible versions of you exist simultaneously, encoded in the field. Which version you experience depends on which waveform collapses. When you align in coherence, you activate the strands of DNA that resonate with your expanded self. You begin to embody the timeline where your desires are already reality. This isn't metaphor, it is biology responding to frequency. Feel into this. Your cells are humming with light. Scientists call it biophotons, tiny bursts of energy emitted by DNA. Mystics call it the inner flame. As coherence deepens, these biophotons grow stronger, more organized, transmitting clarity throughout your system. You are literally becoming more luminous. Others may notice it before you do. Your skin seems brighter, your eyes clearer, your presence magnetic. That is your DNA broadcasting its upgraded signal. And as this signal strengthens, timelines begin to bend. Situations rearrange themselves, paths open that were once invisible. People appear seemingly out of nowhere, carrying opportunities aligned with your expanded self. These are not coincidences, they are entanglements responding to your DNA's new frequency. You are no longer collapsing from the identity of who you were. You are collapsing from the identity of who you are becoming. And the field cannot resist. But pressure will test you. Phase transitions always come with moments where the old and new overlap, creating turbulence. You may feel pulled between timelines, 1 foot in the old, 1 foot in the new. This is not confusion, it is superposition. For a brief moment, both realities exist simultaneously, flickering as your coherence stabilizes. The temptation will be to doubt, to assume the collapse has failed. But remember, turbulence is proof of breakthrough. The boiling is proof that steam is imminent. So when you feel the weight pressing on your chest, when time seems to warp, when your body hums with unfamiliar energy, remember, this is DNA restructuring. This is timeline convergence. This is the phase transition pressure that always precedes irreversible collapse. And soon, very soon, you will notice the snap. The unmistakable moment when the field reorganizes, when your DNA locks into its new broadcast, when the turbulence ceases and the new timeline becomes stable. From that moment forward, nothing will feel the same. The old identity will lose its grip. The old patterns will dissolve. The new broadcast will carry you with momentum so strong it feels like destiny itself has taken your hand. This is the DNA breakthrough. This is the reorganization you were born to embody. This is the moment the universe has been preparing you for. The shift is complete. You can feel it in your chest, in your breath, in the subtle light that now radiates from your very presence. The old identity no longer fits. The loops that once defined you cannot hold. Your DNA has broadcast a new signal, your field has collapsed into coherence, and your reality is reorganizing itself with every passing moment. But this is not the end. It is the beginning. Because your breakthrough is not simply about you, it is about us. Humanity itself is at the edge of collapse, trembling on the threshold of its own phase transition. What you have embodied is not private victory, but prophetic participation in the evolution of our species. Think of it. Every choice you make from coherence strengthens the morphic field of awakening. Every moment you live as the receiver, rather than the seeker, amplifies the collective signal. You are not just walking your path, you are laying tracks for others to follow. You are not just collapsing waveforms, you are collapsing history itself, bending it toward futures of light, freedom, and unity. This is why the universe placed this message in your hands at this moment. Not to entertain you, not to distract you, but to remind you, you are the portal through which humanity evolves. Your liberation is the blueprint. Your coherence is the map. Your manifestation is the prophecy fulfilled in real time. The cosmic mission is clear. Embody collapse, live coherence, broadcast frequency. Wherever you walk, let your very presence be the ritual. Let your words rearrange probability. Let your breath anchor timelines of abundance, compassion, and remembrance. For the world does not need more rituals performed in secrecy. It needs living rituals walking in daylight. It needs you. And know this, you are not alone. All across this planet, others are awakening, collapsing their own waveforms, radiating their own light. Together, you form the lattice of humanity's next evolution. Together, You are building the resonance that will tip the collective into phase transition. The pressure is rising, the window is open, the collapse is near. And when it comes, it will not look like chaos, it will look like birth. So step forward now with the quiet authority of one who knows. You are not waiting for miracles. You are the miracle. You are not waiting for proof. You are the proof. You are not hoping for change. You are the change through which the universe remembers itself. Take one final breath, deep and steady, and let this truth engrave itself into your bones. Collapsing waveforms unlocks manifestation faster than any ritual you've tried, because collapse is the ritual and you are the collapsing force. The mission is clear, the field is listening, the future is already humming through your DNA. Walk as the observer, live as the collapse, and let the world be transformed through the coherence you now carry. The time has come, the collapse is now, and your becoming is humanity's evolution.